This is the Energy Makers Show, featuring the innovators, financiers, and policymakers focused on the global energy demand. Brought to you by NRG, moving clean energy forward. And here's your host, Paul Dickerson.
Hi, I'm Paul Dickerson, and welcome to another episode of the Energy Makers Show. Today we talk about smart energy software for large industrial customers. First up, Marc de Buyl of VRcontext, recently acquired by Siemens, offering virtual avatar-style walkthroughs of complex refinery settings. Next up, Oscar Santollani, CEO of Soteica, a company offering smart meter-like software and power usage controls for its customers in the large industrial setting. All that right after this.
Where will the energy come from to move us forward? From natural sources in abundant supply, or perhaps a man-made source? At NRG, we believe innovation will solve our energy needs. That's why NRG is moving away from fossil fuels towards wind, solar, and other sustainable technologies to power the smart grid, the electric car, and our clean energy future. We're using all of our energy to develop more of it.
This is the Energy Makers Show, brought to you by NRG, moving clean energy forward. And now, back to the Energy Makers Show with your host, Paul Dickerson.
Welcome back to the Energy Makers Show. Our guest now, Marc de Buyl, Managing Director of VRcontext. Marc, great to have you on the program.
Good meeting you. Good to be here.
Well, I'd ask you to tell us about VRcontext, but why don't we start with some exciting news for the company? What just happened?
Yes, well, as it happened over a normal process, I guess, called due diligence, we were acquired by Siemens. So we went from a 12-man company to a 400,000 people company.
Congratulations.
Change in culture. Yes, thank you very much.
Well, it is. It's very, very exciting. So many of our early stage company friends are looking for that good strategic partner. Well, let's take a few steps back and tell us about the company pre-acquisition.
Okay, very good. Well, the company has been around since 2000, and the technology came out of engineering, construction background, primarily focused on oil and gas. That came afterwards, but initially on nuclear. Anything that's big, complicated, and dangerous. That's what we worked on, trying to visualize the asset in an immersive environment without being there.
All right, so put some context to that.
Okay. In essence, it's a video game technology, but applied to serious people, yes. And we are, in essence, to industrial operations what flight simulators in the 70s were to aviation. And I don't think many people would still fly an airplane if they didn't know that their pilots had been properly trained. And so the time has come for a major oil and gas operator, which is our new focus, to start really training their personnel in safety and operations using the virtual worlds technology.
Well, tell me about one of those products.
Well, there are different applications. The product is basically the ability to build a complex, faithful engineering grade model of the assets so that people can navigate it in 3D pretty much at movie speed frame rates, so that people are virtually immersed, no pun intended, to navigate the model and go about their day-to-day routine charges and work orders before they even get on the asset. So they know where they are, they know what to do, and they can rehearse it before they get there.
Incredible. What is Walk Inside?
It is basically the name that we've chosen because we've been known, it's quite funny, an anecdote here is that most people said, well, I've never heard of VRcontext, and some of the people said, Walk Inside, is that the software that has walking avatars in it? And that was before James Cameron's movie. And so we said, yeah, we are the avatar software. So that people that operate in the field can actually impersonate or be impersonated by those walking avatars and rehearse their duties, but physically or virtually being in the model.
So walk me through, let's say I'm an oil and gas operator. What would walk inside do for me?
Okay, well, basically, there are several stages in the deployment of that technology, but by and large, we build a model from CAD engineering data that comes out of the engineering firms that are responsible for constructing the asset. Once that asset is built, we're building intelligence behind the asset. In other words, the operator will need to point and click or point at pumps and know what the pump is made of, what its maintenance history is, what the pressure, temperature, flow rates are through all the equipment that are physically located on the asset, so that they can make wiser, faster, better decision, if you will, by looking at the data they would otherwise not been able to use. So we essentially have 3 or 4 user communities, people concerned with safety and training. As you know, the baby boomers are fast retiring, maybe both of them.
Yeah, right.
2 examples of them. And by and large, we have knowledge which we would need to transfer to the emerging workforce, and that is a big, big challenge for oil and gas company. So we use the virtual world, or they would use the virtual world, to basically transfer that knowledge to the emerging workforce. Others that are more competent or trained and skilled would use it to refine and improve the efficiency in maintenance operation. Others to basically look at emergency escape procedures and rehearse them so that people can be taken out of harm's way in the most efficient way.
What was it about the company, do you think, that Siemens saw as adding good strategic value to
that is a very good question. Evidently, there are companies that are focusing with their applications to consolidating information over the asset. But by and large, I won't name the companies, but surveys have been done internally with the major oil companies about the usage of information. Right. And they found out that less than 5% of the people were actually using the information that exists because they don't feel they need it, or it's too hard to get to, and
or it's just not interesting to work through the scenario.
Perhaps, but evidently in the wake of the recent accidents in the Gulf, most notably, information may become a liability, because at the end of the day, if you should have known and you didn't, because your people weren't using the information, I'm sure there'll be savvy lawyers going after that.
That's right.
And so in our case, we're making the information more readily accessible through the video game style environment with joysticks and movements, so that there is no reason for people not to use the data anymore.
Well, that's exactly right. And your market is not focused on the U.S. You have a global view of the market.
Absolutely. The company actually was headquartered in Brussels, Belgium, where the technology originated. Simply ran the U.S. operation and set up essentially a strategy that was focused on oil and gas as opposed to tackling any sort of industry. And where else to be than in Houston when you're in oil and gas. And also because the business is by nature more standardized, the enterprise solutions that are being developed are chosen and selected and tested in Houston for global deployment, whether it's in West Africa, the Far East, or Latin America.
Well, with this new vibrant partner, what does 2013 look like for you?
Well, it looks very exciting for 2 reasons. Because, first of all, the COMOS solution that is the basic engineering framework, if you will, for the data, has already a number of adopters and clients. We, as Walking Side, have distinctive clients that may or may not use COMOS. Well, by and large, we're broadening our entry point and our value proposition to the market by going both ways to the same accounts or different accounts and bringing the other technology behind the other one.
Well, exciting times.
Yeah, it is.
Fantastic technology. Marc, thank you so much for coming in today.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it was a pleasure.
And that wraps our discussion with Marc de Buyl. We'll be back with more right after this.
At BKD, we understand the constantly shifting nature of the energy industry. As a national CPA and advisory firm, we serve energy clients from the beginning to the end of the cycle. Our experienced energy advisors serve approximately 300 energy companies in exploration, midstream, downstream, oilfield services, and power production. Plus, we're the largest North American member of the Praxity Global Alliance, which means we can help you wherever you operate. Contact a BKD advisor or visit us online to learn more.
This is the Energy Makers Show, brought to you by NRG, moving clean energy forward. And now, back to the Energy Makers Show with your host, Paul Dickerson.
Welcome back to the Energy Makers. Our guest now, Oscar Santollani, the CEO of Soteica. Oscar, great to have you on the program.
Thanks for having me.
So tell us about the company.
Well, Soteica is a chemical engineering software firm. We supply utilities real-time optimizers for refineries and petrochemicals. We started it up in Buenos Aires, Argentina, 1985 more or less, and over the years we've been growing it. Now we're headquartered here in Houston, Texas, and we've gone through a series of mergers and consolidations that now positions us as the worldwide leader in this niche.
All right, so who are some of your customers?
Well, some of the customers are Exxon, Shell, Chevron. Internationally, we also do business with Repsol, the Spanish oil refining firm, and Total. Recently, we've done business with PetroChina and Kuwait, KMPC.
And it doesn't have to be a particular major, but walk me through the service and the offering.
Sure. So as I mentioned, the particular service is a utilities real-time optimization, and what we supply is a solution to a refinery. Let's say ExxonMobil in Baytown, all their complex there, which is a refinery, a petrochemical site, and cogeneration site, requires utilities, steam, fuel, power to operate.
Sure.
What our solution does is every 15 minutes, it looks at all the variables and it says, here's a list of recommendations in the way to operate at the lowest cost possible, those utilities. And in the particular case of ExxonMobil in Baytown, it does it automatically, in autopilot. This means the solution goes ahead and operates the utilities by itself.
So as you talk about the software helping make some of these decisions to save energy, can you walk us through one of these key decisions?
In an industrial site, you can consume steam, power, fuel in different ways. And one thing that you might want to do is you want to rebalance those utility loads throughout the site. So for example, instead of importing electricity from the grid, you might have an asset at your site that can generate electricity through steam generations or steam turbo generators. So this software can help you make the decision in which time of the day is it more economically efficient for you to consume electricity from the grid or to export it back.
So it's almost a smart meter for a macro consumer.
A very intelligent smart meter plus decision-making, decision support capability. Yep.
Well, and walk me through, how does an Argentinian company find its way to Houston, Texas?
Well, it's a small community. The chemical engineering systems, let's say, it's a small community. So over the years, companies get bought. In our particular case, Repsol, the Spanish oil company, bought YPF, the Argentinian oil company. So immediately our background in Argentina propagated to Europe. And after that, we made partnerships with technology suppliers in the States. And, long story short, we're here in Houston and covering maybe 50 worldwide companies of the sort of international oil firm status that I mentioned.
Well, when you speak about this real-time optimizer, how much money can a company save by using it?
The post audits we've done in most of our user base comes up with a number between, I would say, 2 and 4% of their energy costs can be saved. For example, in a typical refinery here on the Gulf Coast, that may mean $3 million a year.
Sure.
But there's more than that, because when you control energy or when you control energy cost, you're also looking after emissions. You probably are aware that 70% of the emissions at any industrial site are caused by utilities, by burning those utilities. So it is very clear that if you have the energy under control, you also have the emissions under control. So it goes hand in hand. Energy and emissions are two variables that operators are very keen nowadays to keep in check.
Well, and you seem to be moving at a nice clip. What does 2013 look like for you?
2013 looks good. We are trying to put together a series of partnerships and strategic investments that would give us the size to compete at the same sort of level with our competitors. We are still a small company, a very niche-based company, and I think we need a bit more of partnerships and strategic investment to make the next step.
So as you look at the right strategic partner, I assume it's not just about the money, but it's either, is it the right geography? Is it a certain companion technology?
Good question. we first started the search for geography because when we sold the projects in China, for example, language barriers and time zone differences were a killer.
Sure.
Right? We were having half of our staff working night shifts in order to support the application over there, 13 hours difference. So that was the first thing that triggered. We need to find some partners that are prevalent in the other side of the world. After that, it also started to appeal to us that if they had a good footprint in some of the areas of our technology within these refineries, that could be a perfect match. So that's where we're seeking. We're seeking people in other geographies that we are not present, and in addition, that they have a good footprint and the financial backing that they can give us a presence in the market.
Well, Oscar, good luck.
Thank you
I
very
hope
much.
you'll come see us and tell us how it works out.
I will.
I'm sure it'll be
Thanks,
great.
Paul. Thank you very much.
And that wraps this episode of the Energy Makers Show, heard on the radio nationwide and seen right here at TheEnergyMakers.com. I'm Paul Dickerson, and we'll see you next week.